Righty, good morning. Welcome to the channel. It is a cold one and wet one here in France. All right, headlines for this morning. We have a few Super Rugby ones with the new rules coming out. So let's have a look at those. Firstly, we're just going to run through these nice and quickly. So let's have a look. So there'll be it will no longer be mandatory for the referee to issue a yellow or red card to a player on a defending team when awarding a penalty try. Any sanction will be at the discretion of the referee. Accidental offsides and teams delaying playing the ball away from a ruck will result in free kicks rather than scrums. After the referee has called use it at the ruck, no additional players from the team in possession may join the ruck. Teams will be permitted to pass the ball back into their half before kicking a 50-22, and players will be allowed to take quick taps within 1 metre either side of the mark or anywhere behind the mark if they are within that 2 metre channel running parallel to the touchlines. So, I'm not going to go through them one by one. Most of them make sense. Like, I understand, and to be honest, if they were implemented worldwide, I'd be happy. I think some of them make perfect sense, Accidental offsides, teams delaying the ball results in a free kick as opposed to a scrum. I think that kind of makes sense when an actual offside is a penalty. It makes sense that a accidental offside is a short arm. The use it at call from the referee at the ruck time was brought in to speed the game up. So at that point, when the referee yells use it, it should be kick it or lose it, basically. So yeah, use it or lose it. No additional players from the team makes sense. Passing the ball back into their own half before kicking a 50-22 doesn't make a hell of a lot of sense. Like, I get the premise as to why this rule was brought in, the original 50-22. It's to create more space in the defensive line for attacking teams to exploit. I'm going to go into why these rules. I don't like these, like the whole idea behind changing the rules anyway, and this plays into it. And then the quick tap rule, I don't really have any views on it. It seems like just unnecessary. I didn't think there was an issue with the quick tap. So yeah, my big issue around these rules is that I don't really care about the rest of the World Rugby, what they're saying about it, how the Northern Hemisphere views these. It doesn't really impact them right now. It impacts New Zealand and New Zealand rugby, and most importantly, it impacts the All Blacks, because while New Zealand is there playing a different set of rules, when these players get to international level, they are not going to be. They're going to be playing a different rule set that the rest of the world has been playing, so they're already going to be behind the eight ball. We know Super Rugby is not preparing New Zealand players for international rugby as it once was. There's a bigger gulf between the two levels, and you can put that down to South Africa leaving, which is probably the main reason. But this doesn't help. You're playing a different skill set. You may as well be playing a different sport. Soon it'll be rugby league, right? So that's why I don't like these rules. I think they should just stop tinkering. Now, if they want to build if the goal of this is to build a more exciting product to get fans re-engaged with Super Rugby in New Zealand, which I think is partly it. I think they New Zealand does want these rules obviously to be implemented in World Rugby. But New Zealand should not be the laboratory for these rugby law experiments. And if it was just simply re-engaging fans for Super Rugby, there are better ways to do that. And there's literally 3 ways that I think they could do this super easily. Like, that's not these 3 things. It's not going to solve the problem, but it's a good start. They're quick wins that New Zealand Rugby should be doing before even looking at changing rules to speed their game up, because that's not the issue. If you look at the Northern Hemisphere, right, and there's a lot going around on Twitter now about Reynolds, the referee, talking about the difference between the Northern Hemisphere and the Southern Hemisphere, and the fact that the Southern Hemisphere is constantly trying to change the rules, speed up the game. The Northern Hemisphere is not. The Northern Hemisphere has packed stadiums, have great club rugby. It's the most watched sport in their countries, and in New Zealand, it's dying. And the two, it can't be to do with the style of rugby. It just can't. Um, so anyway, the three things that I think they need to start with, to start healing the game in New Zealand. Firstly, when it comes to Super Rugby, they need to bring back the regional name of all the teams. Instead of just having these nicknames for all the franchises, it needs to be the Wellington Hurricanes, not just the Hurricanes. The Waikato Chiefs, not the Chiefs. The Otago Highlanders, the Canterbury Crusaders, the Auckland Blues. These names are super important to connect the fans to their regional team. Like, I'm from Wellington, I'm a Wellington supporter. I don't care about this random franchise called the Hurricanes. Like, that's not, I want to support the Wellington Hurricanes. It's just simple, right? Like, it doesn't mean much, but I don't know, I think it has a big impact. um, People need to identify with their team. Secondly, the stadiums. Obviously, in Otago and Canterbury, you have new stadiums with roofs, which will help in their own way. But Waikato's a decent sized stadium as well. But Wellington and Auckland are just, they're too big. Um, you know, they, first of all, they can't sell them out, so there's just so many empty seats. The atmosphere ruins the atmosphere. It just creates this terrible spectacle, especially for people watching on TV, and all you can see is seats, empty seats. Especially in Auckland, if you live in Greater Auckland, and you've got to travel into the city, into a big city, and it might take you a long time, and then it takes you a long time to get home. Same in Wellington. These types of things, they need to start looking at other options. Smaller grounds are probably, I don't know what's available in Auckland. I know there's not a lot in Wellington, so it's tough to do. But this is a big issue. It is, in my opinion. You look at the Northern Hemisphere teams, and some of the grounds, they're not huge, but they're packed out. They've good atmosphere, nice and close to the fans. The fans feel, like they're close to the teams. They can engage, and they just feel a part of the action a lot more. Um, and the third thing, which ties into this slightly, is they need to schedule more daytime rugby. Like, again, it's something that you see in the top 14 a lot. Daytime rugby, and the stadiums are full. You know, who wants to go watch? Who wants to go into Wellington on a Saturday night at 7:30 in the middle of winter? It's dark. It's 2 degrees. It's raining sideways because it's Wellington. Um, who wants to go for that? And then you've got to get all the way home, and you get home late, and you're wet, and you're cold, and it's just horrible. If you're a young family, you don't want to take your kids out in the evening. You want to take them out during the day, so they can, it's just start catering more for families, and start bringing start appealing to them a bit more. Daytime rugby has always drawn a good crowd. It just makes so much sense that I don't know why they haven't done it. There's probably a reason behind that, and probably if someone's going to sound off and tell me what that is, but there's got to be a way around that. So yeah, those three simple things. Now, those are not going to solve the problem entirely, but it's a good start, right? And this is what they should be doing before looking at tinkering with rules. That's what I think anyway. And yeah, let me know if you have got different views on it. But I just think they should be looking for all the little things that they can do, the small wins. Anyway, guys, that's it from me. Yeah, thanks for watching. If you're still here, please like and subscribe. Give me a couple of comments if you don't agree with me, or if you agree with me. I'd be interested to hear any other Kiwis or Aussies who have the same opinion as me, because from what I've seen, they don't. It's literally, you're in the Northern Hemisphere, you hate these rules. You're in the Southern Hemisphere, you love them. So keen to hear everyone's ideas. Yeah, and as I said, please subscribe. It really helps me build the channel. I'm trying to create sort of a rugby community here where everyone can share their opinions and be heard. I don't feel like there is a platform, a channel, or anyone around that allows the fans to be heard. They say they do, but they sort of gatekeep the opinions. And apparently, if you're not an ex-player or a journalist, your opinion is less than theirs. So help me build the channel. And yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a good week.